Hello and Happy New Year and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
Oh, shit, it is New Year, isn't it? Well, it will be. And I'm Mitch. On today's episode,
I just love the realisation.
It's a new year. Guess what? That tells you we recorded this on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And on this episode, we speak to Mr Eric Davies. Now, I just want to set this out from the start. You might not have heard of Eric Davies, but this is a proper legend of surfing. This is surfing royalty, definitely royalty around Devon, and an absolute top dude. And I cannot wait to let you hear this one.
Yeah, well, I reckon we'll just go straight into it and then come back on our thoughts afterwards, all right? So, yeah, here we go.
Hi, I'm Eric Davies. Been on the planet here about 73 years now. And surfing-wise, I know it's over 50, but I probably don't want to go too far down that road. But it's been a really great trip so far.
When's your first memory then? Let's go back. If you say like 50 years, when's your first memory of getting on a board or having that buzz for surfing?
Well, I could wind it back a lot further because there used to be a TV program called Blue Peter, and they showed you how to bend some plywood with steam and G-clamps, and I had a go at that. And I think I was about, 8 or 9 or 10, somewhere around then. And my parents took me to Dorset near Highcliffe. And I tried it in the non-existent waves there. But I was stoked, I bent the plywood and I felt like a surfer. But there was no real sensation then. It was just going through emotion. Yeah. The real surf thing happened in 1968. And a mate of mine came to school, still in the sixth form, and said, I've got a Malibu board. And I said, I have no idea what that is. And he described it. So we looked in a geography section at school and we saw waves in the picture breaking at Llangenith in South Wales. So the sexy surf wagon then was a Morris 1000.
Nice.
So we strapped it to the roof with a crappy luggage rack. And somehow we got to the Gower and we surfed for a whole day. Well, when I say surf, we fell off for a whole day because we didn't know about wax.
Right.
There were only 2 other surfers on the beach, Welsh guys, and they just kept laughing at us. And we went in the end, we said, why are you always laughing? Are you just happy or why? They said, well, you've got no wax. And we didn't know what wax was. Anyway, wow. They whizzed us off to Swansea, Boots the chemist, block of wax about the size of a house brick, and apparently it's used as a laxative. So the woman looked quite worried when we said we'll take the whole brick. Next day we really waxed up and we were up and riding, and that was it. That was me hooked.
Okay. So before we go into how you got into surfing, so when we do these editions of the podcast, we kind of do them by. We've realised it works better for us if we do them by geography. So we do like a Cornwall trip, a Devon trip, Northeast, that sort of thing, right? And we'll ask the listeners and people we know locally, give us, because we're not from here, so tell us the names of people we should definitely have on the show. Your name came up so many times, but also normally we have a list on the computer of the guests so we can put them into an order, but there's a lot of columns, right? And it just says name of the guest, and then it says who, what, right? And it just tells us who that person is. And next to your name, it just says local legend, which is what everyone said. So I wondered if you could just maybe break that down for the listeners as to why the locals would assume you as a legend.
Well, it's a quite funny question because I always admire Cliff Cox because he is a living legend everywhere he goes. He managed to surf the best breaks when they're on all over Britain. And he's respected pretty much everywhere he goes because he behaves, he's a great rider, and he just does it. Well, I'm not quite like that, but I've spent a lot of my time surfing in Scotland, in Wales, in Devon and Cornwall, and then in Dorset for 20 odd years. So I've kind of built up a local thing a bit like him, but on longer gaps.
Is that because you said not quite like him? Is that because you don't behave? Is that the point of difference?
No, not really. And I'm not going to drop Cliff in it here. A side shoot to the story is that he and I, we used to think we were the South Coast Warriors at the English and British Championships. Yeah. I'd be in the the level above him, as in age, not ability, and he'd be in the younger guys. And we always loved it when it was kind of junk surf in Newquay, because we'd practiced on junk surf at Highcliffe and he at Brighton. And sometimes the locals in Newquay wouldn't have gone in on that junk. They went on the nice days, and why not? And guess what? When you call a contest, you get junk surf. And we kept doing pretty well down there. But one time, Coxey had a bad session, and he took his board over to the rocks at Fistral there, the south end, and he put it between the rocks, and he was jumping up and down on it. He was so fizzing mad. So I thought, I don't want to be on the wrong end of Coxey. So,
fair.
So you say like competitions. So when did that start? When did you start doing competitions and get into that?
It's quite strange, really. It just drew me in. I was lucky enough to come across to North Devon, and we've got a fantastic surf club here, longboard club, called the Hot Doggers. No car parks involved or anything like that, just hot dog surfing.
No one said anything.
But they were great under Norman Wright, who was like the king of it. It got everybody involved. You felt relaxed. It didn't matter if it was your first comp or you were Ben Skinner. It didn't matter. Everybody was welcome.
Yeah.
Everybody had a good time. And those comps helped us practice to go to the national level and compete there. Okay. So, and it just felt natural to me. I mean, it doesn't now, but it did then. I had it in me to go for it.
What were when you got to the competition stage or level, kind of numbers in the surf community? Was it really small and tight, or was there actually quite a lot of people?
Well, in Scotland it was, because you'll like this, Scottish champion 3 or 4 times.
1981, was that the first one, I believe?
That's right. In fact, I looked at one. There's one there that's 1979, so a mixture of Thurso, big respect there. It wasn't massive, but it was Thurso. Pease Bay. Still love Pease. Yeah. And then a couple at Fraserburgh. So, that was small groups of surfers.
Okay.
But surfing at Saunton and in Cornwall's been pretty big all the time and crowded, even since I've been doing it. Obviously, it's got more crowded, but one good thing about a contest, you can have the WCT contest area, contest area for 20 minutes for just 4 of you, if you pay the entry fee. So
it's almost worth doing.
Well, do you know
that's how I felt.
It was a few years ago they changed it, but it used to be at Boardmasters you would get free festival tickets if you paid to enter the comp. So loads of surfers were paying to enter the QS. It was a QS 1000, I think it's a smaller end QS. But loads of people were paying to enter, never even getting a wetsuit on, and just getting hammered up at the festival.
Guess that loophole's closed.
It's long closed. It's long closed. And do you know what? I guess. So I've travelled down here like 11-hour journey. A lot has changed since 1979. So actually, a trip from here to Thurso, that was probably massive.
Yeah, but I was living in Scotland then. So
right, okay.
Yeah, my life was going to be in Scotland. I was working as a ski instructor up on the mountains there in the winter and surfing, and just filling in, making wetsuits, teaching stuff in the summer, but always sneaking off for a surf whenever I could. And joined up with Doc Finley, Malcolm Finley, if you know him, and Andy Bennett's, got to know those guys. They said there were contests, so I was drawn up there to give it a go.
So, I think we should touch on the reason you were in Scotland in the first place then, because that's another big part of your life, isn't it?
Well, it is really. I say I've surfed for 50 something years, and I've skied, I don't know, since I was about 20 years of age. And again, it's just one of those things that captivated me. And in fact, my mantra has been ever since then is to live by the sea or live in the mountains, and I refuse to live anywhere else. Yeah. And that way it's kept me mentally happy because I'm doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You ever thought of moving to Canada? You can be in the mountains by the sea.
I can piss you guys and the audience off. I had the best job in the world. I worked for Salomon, the ski equipment company, for 36 years. And if you were clever, you could engineer it that sales went up, but you also went on amazing trips to Japan and Scandinavia and British Columbia and Europe. So I made some luck along the way, broke a few rules, but I'm finished with them now. So it's
I don't
good.
think anyone's needing to like any more depth of knowledge into how they would make that work for themselves. I think we're all picturing ourselves blagging to the boss that no, I need a trip to the Alps right now for sales purposes.
But seriously, I say to anybody out there, if you think about it, you can do these things. Do not be limited. Please don't be limited. Have a go. I mean, dropping a name here, our good friend, I call him Jack Besson, you called him the Cheddar Shredder,
Yeah.
which is brilliant. He's got a great song out there called Surfing Safari Blues, and the lyric goes, people said surfing was a bad idea. So I said to him, what do you mean by that? It's kind of weird. He said, it's all those people that said, don't try that, don't go there, don't go to India, don't do anything, do everything sensible. He said, don't listen to them. And that's what I did, but I didn't know I was doing it at the time.
Do you know that's the thing with surfing, isn't it? Like I think when you have, depending on your route and your access, whether it be a lesson, a stag weekend, or whatever it is that gets you into it for the first time, for those of us who it really captivates, you have no idea the journey you're about to go on, like buying all the wrong equipment, buying a transporter, all the things that you just have to be part of.
No, you're saying it. In fact, you quote me off that the film we've just done recently with Tom Bowman. I started off by saying the trouble is passion becomes obsession, and surfers are the most selfish people in the world.
Absolutely.
And it causes a lot of anguish and trouble, and it is a dangerous thing. I'd say it's as powerful as the most powerful drug. You can go a bit wrong.
But it's super fun.
But it's super fun.
That's why we do it.
It's super fun, but you say that, like, you know, like how many times do you just sit out back getting annoyed at yourself, you're not doing it right? I don't know, it is fun, but maybe there's as much balance of frustration as there is fun, and probably more so, to be fair. I guess it depends on the level of surfing, but I suppose at the same time, just because you're really good at surfing doesn't mean you don't get frustrated at your surfing, but it's just what you're trying to achieve is slightly different to, you know, our abilities.
Do you still get those days more, I want to say, with like 50 plus years experience in the water, those days when you go out and it's just still not working?
Never. You just get creative and you make the best of the conditions. In fact, some of the most fun surfs I've had are on onshore days because the wave isn't that predictable. The easy up and down, off the top, whatever you're trying to do, only you mess that up. But when it's all mixed up, peak, drop in, flat spot, cut back, whatever, you just get creative. And it's a bit back to when like Coxie and I used to practice on that. Yeah. And we'd lap it up when they threw a contest on that day.
Do you think there was a point then of throughout your surfing when you can, like, obviously you must have remembered like when you were first starting and when you were younger in surfing and not been doing it as long, and you'd go out on a day and things wouldn't be working right, or you'd get frustrated at yourself, the point where that sort of tipped and went, actually, instead of getting frustrated, I'm going to get creative?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed natural to me to just make the best out of what you've got. So I never really got like that. I never thumped my surfboard or put it up between the rocks and jumped up and down. I don't know, just roll with it and go with it. And in later years, luckily I discovered yoga, and that has really helped me, because if you get, angry driver situation, instead of boiling up now, I think, yoga, I put my yoga brain on and chill.
You should try hospital yoga.
I did this morning. Look. Nice one. You thought that was a new film, didn't you?
That's a great name for a movie.
And
Hospital
thought nurses
yoga
were involved, but they weren't. So that's male and female nurses too.
Obviously, you said you're big on your winter sports and surfing. Did they remain in harmony, or was it a point where surfing became everything surfing? Or
well, luckily for skiing, it when I was doing it, it broke into this whole new era called freestyle skiing, because I wasn't any good at racing. I'm not the right shape for a racer, and to be honest, I get a bit scared when skis are going I don't know, faster than 40 miles an hour, I'm like, that's enough. Yeah, alone 100 miles an hour.
I
So
get scared when my car goes faster than 40 miles an hour.
Your van doesn't go 40 miles an
I
hour.
sound like Fred Flintstone. No, so luckily freestyle came along, and that was more about expression. I mean,
Okay.
we had to do ballet, which is like ice dance on snow, and you go, well, I'm not doing that. But if you wanted to enter the contest, it was compulsory. So you did aerials, where I threw myself off jumps, somersaults, and God knows what, and got pretty good at it, and ended up third in an overall sort of cup contest.
Yeah.
So that paid off. And then the people at Salomon said, "We'll sponsor you. Can you do some work?" So throw myself off of jumps. I cracked my sternum once. It should have been one big somersault, and it turned into 1.5, which I came in head first, straight to Inverness Hospital, and they're all shaking their heads. Anyway, I got through that one. The sternum mended, and then, I don't know, 25 years later, I repeated the same thing at Boscombe near Bournemouth in a surf contest. Took off next to a groin. It's about 3 foot of water. Doing my best to impress the judges, and the backwash hit the wave, and I was like a cat thrown out a window. I was in the air doing this. Next thing, straight in. This wasn't 3 feet of water. This was 6 inches, and wet sand is as hard as a rock.
Yeah.
So here we go again. Ambulance off the beach in a wetsuit, Bournemouth. Aussie doctor, and he's shaking his head as well. As they cut my wetsuit, I said, "Don't! I'll get out of it. I can't."
I will make my way out of this wetsuit undamaged.
Yeah. Anyway, he said, "You need to back off," because he said, "If you do this again, you're going out of here in a wheelchair." So I partially listened to him, and here I am.
Hard being told you can't do something,
I
isn't it?
know.
Or you should slow down with something.
Yes.
Then come back to your competition stuff. When was the... I think you've had some Grandmaster titles.
Yeah, it was, again, I was lucky enough to be in the sort of contest era and system where a guy called Minnow Green from Cornwall, who's really put contests on the map worldwide, and he's the reason, along with the skills of Ben Skinner and people like him, that have got to the top. You know, Skinner's ranked 1, 2 or 3 in the world, and he got there by mini contests through that. So, and as I got older, it was getting tougher to compete, because I was competing against Skinner in one contest. He was about waist high on me. You know, he was the super irritating grom. So luckily, new age group, get rid of Skinner and co. are on a similar plateau. And then I think Minnow and the other guys organising said, there's more and more older people doing contests, more women doing them as well. Let's keep the age group going up.
Yeah.
And I think I got to over 60s, and then it got tough, because there wasn't another one after that. So
Okay.
I thought you were going to say because there wasn't any over 60s. It was just
Well,
you out on your own winning.
that's a sad thing. Some of my friends are not here who should be, but that's. But anyway, it was a good time to break away from it. But luckily, the people in the comps looked after us.
How have you seen the competition format change from when you started competing to how you see it now?
I'm pretty annoyed about one way that it's gone, because in the early days when I was doing the longboards, it was what they call 50-50. So you would do 50% of your time on a wave trying to be progressive.
Okay.
So surfing it almost like a shortboard. Great bottom turn, off the top if you can.
Yeah.
Nice radical cutback using your fins and your rails. You know, what we would all look upon as quality surfing. So you could get half your points for that. If you carried on surfing like that, you weren't going to get any more marks. But you could then switch to a traditional for the other half of your marks. So now we're talking drop knee turns, hang 5, hang 10, you know, other quality maneuvers that you think, oh, that's longboarding. And I always thought that was the best era, 50-50.
Yeah.
Because it let the surfer express themselves, but you had to do both disciplines.
Yeah.
Now it's gone, and I'm sure there'll be people that will disagree, but I'm not sure anybody knows exactly what they're doing anymore, because which mode do I switch to, or do I surf for myself? I would love it to go back to 50-50, or let's have a debate with somebody and do it on.
I think there's been in recent years I think longboarding competitions went a lot more performance-based. I guess more shortboard style.
Yeah.
Big, powerful manoeuvres. But I think there's an element of trying to get it back to a bit more graceful.
Yeah, well, that's what they did. But I think it swung too far, and it went all that way. Just go back to 50-50 and
you're back in.
Yeah,
You're back in.
Step aside. Only kidding.
And how did you find the progression of your equipment? You know, you said before you were bending wood. You know.
Yeah, well, I'm quite progressive. It sounds wrong, bending wood. But anyway,
again, I didn't say anything.
You did. Watch these guys; they lead you into traps. No. I was lucky enough when I was doing my contest surfing to have struck up a great friendship with Chops, who sadly is not with us anymore, from St Agnes, an Aussie guy who thought he was British, who thought he was Aussie, and he had 100 personalities. And whenever you turned up, you always got an interesting version of Chops. Right. I loved it. He was so good. But being a big fella, and I was quite a big fella, we were on the same wavelength as to what board to make. And unlike some shapers who just do their own thing and don't listen to the person, we kind of got on, and I got the shapes I wanted. And he did me 2 magic boards, and one of them's got a massive Jimi Hendrix
I've seen that one. It's
logo
lovely,
all over it. And I've been offered thousands of pounds for it in car parks, and I go, I'm arrogant. I go, what would I do with £1,000? Anyway, good old Chops, R.I.P. Great guy, great shaper. Yeah, so we did progress from bending wood.
How, I know you said like you were on good equipment then. How have you seen the equipment change over the years of like in competitions, from how the boards are made to like from the wetsuits and everything, like your first wetsuit, was that sort of thing?
I mean, the wetsuit, very quickly, my first one was a kit wetsuit. So you cut it out, stuck it together, and then put this hideous yellow tape on it. And you immediately put it on, and most of the seams split. But anyway,
I've worn wetsuits like that recently.
Yeah. We battled on, and you had the nasty divers turnbuckles near where your nuts are. So when you lay on the board's getting damaged, and it's not too comfortable on your nuts. And
you're bending more wood.
Exactly. And oh man, and it was dodgy really, because you had to put talcum powder inside these. So this is where it sounds a bit wrong. So it'd be at Rest Bay in Porthcawl, middle of winter. We're in the gents' loo, 3 or 4 guys in together, putting talcum powder in our wetsuits. Smells quite nice in here, you know. And people would walk in, and most of them did a U-turn and would walk back out again. And then another friend of mine said, I got a better idea. He said, I'm not putting talcum powder in. He says, I'm putting in washing up liquid. So he squirted washing up liquid in the arms and the legs. His wetsuit went on very easily. But all the time he was in the sea, he was like frothing around the neck.
Literally frothing.
Frothing.
It's where the term comes from.
He's
frothing.
And frothing at his arms and his legs. And he smelled awfully clean afterwards.
That's absolutely brilliant.
I can picture it now in Porthcawl. Thinking, God, those were tough days. You know?
I still can't get over a kit wetsuit that you had to cut out yourself.
Yeah, it was a kit form from St Albans Rubber Company, and they only did in wetsuits, rubber company. Anyway, they sent you the kit, bits of paper, cut it out, stick it together. I mean, winding time on again, when I was in between ski instructing and surfing in Scotland, I had a mini wetsuit company, and I'd learned from Dennis Cross, the founder of Gull Wetsuits, the secrets of double gluing and blind stitching and nylon materials, you know. So he was a great help, along with Andy Shollock from Second Skin here, had some good help, and had a little mini wetsuit business. So yeah, I know a bit about wetsuits.
Did you know that Gull coined the phrase steamer? Steamer came from Gull.
So they say.
Oh,
who knows?
Controversial.
You know something we know.
That's controversial.
Who knows?
So maybe we should say actually where we're filming right now, because you gave us a 30-second flash bomb tour of the place.
Yeah, very proud to be associated with the Museum of British Surfing. It's been a hard battle from people like Peter Robinson, who founded it. And that was a super tough gig to get it set up in here, which is now an old railway shed from steam engines when they came up the line from Barnstable, headed to all the way through to Knoll and up to not Woolacombe, Ilfracombe. And so there's a bit of heritage. And then in the museum itself, we have got the history of British surfing in here, with a great inclusion in the Hawaiian section. And the Hawaiians actually love the Brits, because check out a Hawaiian flag. There ain't no stars and stripes at the top of that flag. There's a Union Jack.
Yeah.
And it's great, all these references. And one more quick one. Right, you ready for the question, boys?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Who officially surfed first in Britain and where?
Was that, what's the name? Agatha, no. I wanna
No,
say-
no, Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
Nice try. Very wrong. Have you got to go?
Where? I'm going to start with a year, and I'm going to call it the 1920s.
No. Going way, way back, right? 2 Hawaiian princes in the 1800s were sent, guess where? Yorkshire, to learn English. They took a look at the sea off the Yorkshire coast.
Saltburn.
Near.
Okay.
It's there. They are there.
Why didn't you look round the room? When
I reckon it was 1890.
There you go. Well done.
And had an Elias surfboard.
Yeah. No. And where was it?
We'll be able to check his GoPro footage off the board and see the location tag. Where was it?
There's a plaque there. Come on, boys.
Look at the bottom. You're closer to it. My eyes are older than your eyes. I can't see.
Go on, just tell me, because I can't see that.
I can't see it either.
Oh,
I'm over 70.
Is it Scarborough?
Yeah, it is.
Scarborough, yeah.
Yeah. And there's a plaque up there, but it gets better where we're trying to even up women in surfing.
Uh-huh.
The brothers sent a message back to Hawaii saying, hey sis, get yourself over here, learn some English, Yorkshire style,
Yeah.
and there's surf. And she surfed
No
in
way.
the North Sea, no wetsuits. I think that's a fantastic, what an intro. The
Yeah,
North
definitely.
Sea.
And she replied with send your location on WhatsApp. And
Exactly,
I'll be on
yeah.
my way.
That's like you, yeah.
Yeah, Surfline. That was.
On stuff like, yeah.
So you said about the female surfer there, said something interesting, which is we've had brought up quite a lot, which is about female surfers and the
Well, we think
The
the
distribution
demographic, or
demographic, that's the
the
word.
split, we think worldwide, male to female surfers is roughly 70 to 30, and that's just open source. You can find that anywhere. But you said something interesting about the North Devon demographic, or at least locally, how you think that
Yeah,
that
I
split
think
is.
we're miles away from that here for a number of reasons. First of all, I'm going to call it on some days 50-50. There's as many women surfers, independent on their own, traveling or with mates or a uni group or whatever, they're there. And easily 50-50 some days. Maybe it slips, changes to 60-40 on others. But you're looking at what equipment they've got, what wetsuits they've got, and the way they're behaving. Just brilliant that they've come through, and I would say that has changed over the years. Maybe when I was back here in the 70s, it would have been 80-20, because there weren't the surf schools, there weren't the intros. Wetsuits have improved, everything's improved. So the women have come right up now, and I just saw in a contest, Snapper Rocks, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Stephanie Gilmore beat Kelly.
Oh, wow.
Boom.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, and I told you about the film Maya and the Big Wave, which we saw at the London Surf Film Festival. That's an amazing film. Everybody should watch that, male or female, because she was getting a lot of heat for being ill-prepared and virtually died, and you'll see that on the film. And some of the guys were giving her a hard time saying, well, you shouldn't have been out there. But she trained really hard, as well as anyone. Even our own Andrew Cotty from North Devon, who trained within an inch of his life, broke his back.
Yeah.
But nobody got on his back, pardon the pun, giving him a hard time. So there's, just to finish the Maya thing, she went on and claimed the biggest wave of last year.
Yeah.
So there's some real sort of retribution and fight back from the women to level things up a bit.
Do you think there's been a mindset shift just across, like, I guess just just the civilized world, at least across the UK in sport, do you think, I guess blokes have changed some mindset, and or where do you see the barriers?
I still see a lot of aggro in the water, both against the women and against, bloke against bloke. Just there's something weird going on where I don't know where it comes from, because they drag it from the way they drive their cars, or their urban side, or something. There's the level of drop-in and blatant drop-in and, pretty heavy sessions in the water, which shouldn't really be happening. And I definitely see guys blatantly trying to drop in on girls. If I can stop it, I will. I'll even paddle across somebody and say, that's not your way, mate. You're not in the position. And you can't do that all day, police it. It's not my job. Yeah. But that's wrong. And then the guy on guy thing, I think, where's that coming from? It's, I think my own outlook is I leave all my problems in the car park. By the time you've walked down the beach, soak up the scene, looking at the surf, your head's getting in a good vibe. Even if it's a bit messy, look, there's a little section peeling there, or they've got a good ride. So you're in a good frame of mind. Yeah. And that buzz should continue out into the sea.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's only when people get in close proximity, and Saunton's 3 miles long. How can there be aggro?
It's just because he just literally comes straight off the car park.
And everybody does it straight. But the sad thing is, that is the best peak.
You're not supposed to say that.
Well, it's world class. And here's the challenge: if you're not getting a 200-yard ride, you can measure it by you get to the end of all the little huts. If you get to the last beach hut on one wave, you've done it, and that's why it's so good.
Yeah. And so you've.
I was about 14 points I wanted to pick up from that.
Well, no, go for it, because you know the sport. I don't really know.
I was the first one wasn't anything to do with the sport. The first one was what were you doing at the London Surf Film Festival?
Well, kind of you to mention that. About a year ago, a guy called Tom Bowman, who is a filmmaker trying to break into that business, I'll say it as a joke, he stalked me. Because he was looking for older surfers that could still kind of surf, and I think he had PJ from South Wales on that list. Legend. And Stuart Matthews, the world champion boar rider. And I thought, well, I don't match up to either of those guys. Huge respect for them, but one thing came to another, getting in touch, time managed, and then me having a little fight with cancer thrown in. Tom decided to focus a film about me and my sort of striving back into some kind of fitness after losing everything because of the cancer op. And most of the skill in that film is from him. He is definitely going to get there. And he entered the film in this London Surf Film Festival. All he wanted to do was get shortlisted. He was going to be beyond stoked with that. So it got to be shown on the Saturday night after before the Maya film. So it was a full audience of, 400 people, scary, and a full-size movie screen, which is even more scary with it's of you. You're like, hoping that there weren't any cheesy moments. And anyway, the guys who organise it, and thanks to them, said, come down on the stage afterwards and have a chat. And there it was, 4 chairs, microphones, and we went, a bit nervous down here, what's going on? And they're just asking nice questions, like you guys, And suddenly they said, this is probably a good time to tell you, you've won. And we were
no way.
We were spun out. We didn't know what to say. So I'm really pleased for Tom. And it's now out there on YouTube. Yeah. And a phrase I kept saying to Tom, and it probably got on his nerve, is I've got to keep on keeping on, because I was really having the struggle with pop-up and fitness and mental anguish and everything else thrown in. And he said, that's the film. Keep on keeping on.
So how did you deal with that then? The fact that you'd lost your pop-up, and what was it you did to get all that back? Like, I think that can also translate for people who sort of have not ever had anything wrong with them or any problem or anything, but they're getting into surfing and they're just starting and they're struggling with their pop-up or they're struggling with their fitness. And so I think that would be a good way to how you got back from that. would transpose to people how they're just getting into it as
you're
well.
You're absolutely right. You don't have to have cancer to improve your pop-up. You know? It's not compulsory, but it's better if you avoid it. If you see a bullet come in, for Christ's sake, dodge it. But I don't know. I realised I had a problem that literally going from horizontal to standing in a what we all know as a pop-up, I've done for the last 50 years, suddenly that's taken away. You're a defeatist then. You think, oh, I'm going to go to my knees, or I'll scrabble up, or I'll give up. You know, it just got me down a lot. So then I thought, right, stronger legs. So I worked out on my leg, didn't make a scrap of difference. It just wasn't happening. So then I really boiled it down to a very weird sort of routine that I've got. And I think I'm going to get Tom to put it together, and we'll put it out there, because if you go on YouTube, there are 1,000 pop-up videos, and I love them to bits, but all the guys and women on there look like models, six packs, under 26. And you think, well, yes, guys, nice pop-up. Yeah. But so I've boiled it down. I think the funniest bit, my wife laughs because one of it is I do 4 bunny hops across the bedroom. There's no sex involved. I just literally, that's just part of my build-up to the pop-up.
Right? To the pop-up, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was some weird foreplay.
You should
whatever
you
like.
Try it. See what your wife or your partner says. Watch out, here come my bunny hops, all right? But if you put it all together, which we will do, I think it's worth it for literally, as you say, somebody that's trying to recover some fitness and get out there and do it.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, because like you said, there'll be people, we say this a lot, like I got smashed in Iraq in 2005, right? So I've got 2 permanent slip discs. So for me, my pop-up's always been an issue. And I know a lot of people struggle with their pop-up, but also a lot of people don't have an issue with their pop-up. So when they hear people talk about issues with pop-up, a lot of people are like, just pop up. It's not a problem.
I know.
It's just hard to relate to that problem. So same thing. I think I've watched and tried every version possible online about a pop-up, and it's that, isn't it? It's always, but they never address the problem, because often people are just saying you're not strong enough. And that's the problem. Like, I'm definitely strong enough. Yeah. And these crazy solutions, it's like, do a handstand on a medicine ball, your thumb up your arse. It's the thing that's going to get you through it. Like, no, that's not the problem. You're not addressing the real thing. So you've obviously fixed your pop-up now. You're back on top of it.
Yeah, I am. And if you watch the movie, you don't see the failed ones because I'd kind of moved on, but I can demo fail ones. But by doing this, and I did it this morning, I do it every freaking day, and it's annoying to do, but I just think it got to keep on keeping on. Yeah. And by doing it every day, it's almost like, well, I didn't surf today, but I did that.
Absolutely.
So that I'm holding ground. I'm not slipping backwards. Yeah. And I think that's what happens to people if they're traveling to surf, or I don't know, illness, job, family get in the way, and you should think, Christ, I've been surfing now for days, weeks, months. You then try and go back in the sea, and you're slightly losing it on the pop-up front. Guess what? You're going to have one of those times you were on about.
Yeah.
Hell time. Nothing's working. Nothing's going right.
Don't look at me. I go surfing every day.
But hey, you're at that secret spot.
Yeah.
I guess you can't really lose a pop-up if you never had it.
Oh!
So I've always got that.
I've always got that. It's gone Scottish now. Look out.
Only if you don't mind us talking about it. It's also a sore subject for me. The C word. I'm just wondering, how long from diagnosis were you out the water before you managed to get back in? I'm going
to say right here, and I've said it at the film festival, and I say it every time I show the film. First of all, thank you so much, NHS. You literally saved me. I luckily got on the track with it, and they were testing my blood, saw something I didn't like. They scanned me, weird nuclear scans and God knows what, making sure it hadn't escaped, because once it's escaped, that's tough then. You're going to get blitzed by radio, whatever. So I got there, and I was out for 6 weeks. And that was tough because I couldn't do any exercise. I mean, for 10 days, I had a piss bag strapped to my leg. Yeah. So it's kind of a bit of a problem. And, dignity's on the doorstep. So, yeah, it was a tough one. After that 6 weeks, I couldn't even crouch down. If somebody said, there's a £10 note on the ground, it's yours, I couldn't even crouch. And I thought, this is terrible. And pop up, no chance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when the alarm bells went, and I switched into this crazy program. And I don't know, after 2 months after the operation, some kind of pop-up was coming back, and it's here today.
Well,
I was going to say, you're talking to a Scotsman. If there was £10 on the floor, he'd have thrown himself down and waited for someone to pick him back up.
I mean, sometimes,
he'd do it with a broken back.
sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night to see if I've lost any sleep. That's how tight I am.
They're not like that. I lived a long time in Scotland, and they're not like that at all.
It's just a typical racist stereotype.
All right,
it's all recorded.
Exactly.
There we go.
Exactly.
So I won't repeat some of the things you say to me. Then.
No, please don't. So I was going to say, it's quite amusing actually, because you are 73, and I guess I work with people who are nowhere even near that age, and when I have to try and explain things like Instagram and YouTube to them, it can be quite awkward at times. But we've spent the whole morning you sending us YouTube links and you just commenting on our posts on Instagram. I find that really funny. So you're really active anyway. So you're quite into the social media side, or?
I am in a way, because I say the 36 years at Salomon, and then as I was leaving them, they made me a pro brand ambassador, which was jogging along quite nicely. And then they suddenly started losing interest in me, and I thought, this is a bit strange. Where's the loyalty here? And it was because I wasn't entering running races and winning running races.
Right.
Everything I'd done in the past, and the fact that I knew the entire ski industry in Britain and most of the surf industry, didn't mean a thing to them. So we exited. Okay. Slightly disappointed, not the great payback, but guess who came galloping over the horizon? Patagonia. And they just said, would you like to be a pro? I said, well, I don't compete anymore. What do you want me to do? And love them. They said, just carry on being you.
Yeah.
And I still didn't quite get it. I thought there's going to be a trick here somewhere. Can you go and work in this shop and that shop? But no. So they've been a great, pickup from that. And part of the goal is to, without making things cheesy, he said, wearing a Patagonia jacket. No.
Which you asked us to make sure was in focus when I was setting the cameras up as well. That's why I brought it up, because it's like, that's what I would be saying. Make sure the logo's in.
The only snag here is the camera's not turned on, and probably this is a complete wind-up, and these microphones aren't recording.
I'm not even going to look at it just in case it's not on, but I'm confident it is.
It's not.
Oh, no, the display will be off. I got to check.
For the audience, he looked.
So what have you got coming up? What's on the cards?
Well, remind me to talk, before it all finishes, I've got to talk about the Robin Reliant trip from Pease Bay back to the Highlands of Scotland. Just near the end, Anyway, what's coming up? I used to be a huge fan of Costa Rica. First started going there 20 years ago. Over that 20 years, I've kept going back, and finally, we've parted company. The Americans have taken it over and wrecked it. So sorry, all those people. You can still go to Costa Rica and have fun.
It's still
you
there,
may meet the odd Costa Rican, but you're more likely to get 4x4'd or dirt biked or jet skied by one of our friends.
Okay.
So, luckily, revisited Barbados. And fell back in love, because I found this amazing longboard break. I'm going to tell everybody because it's out there, called Freights, which is like somebody's laid a patio under the sea with bits of sand and flat rock. And every now and again, a turtle comes up, looks at you like a cartoon character, checks you out and dives down.
I think that's what Emily Grimes was saying about, wasn't it? Freights was Barbados,
and then,
longboard.
This is the best bit of all. People from Newquay, from North Devon, from wherever, London, anywhere nasty, with double yellow lines and parking meters and parking wardens. There's none of those. You just drive up and park. Okay, you go out and have a mellow surf rather, behave, and all will be well. really warm water. Is it 35, 30 degrees? No, 30 degrees. 28, 30 degrees air and water. That's good.
Yeah.
But here's a nice bit. So it's time to drive now back to wherever you're driving to. Everybody goes at half speed. It's only a small island, so you're not racing along. You know, maybe the reggae music's playing. Maybe you'd had a nice rum the night before. You've had a nice. You're in a very mellow mood, and the driving is mellow. Suddenly, somebody wants to pull out from a road junction. Everybody stops to let them out.
It's a different world, that.
What? And then the next thing you notice is nobody's hooting their horn. Nobody's doing this or this. You can guess the signs I'm doing. Nobody's got road rage. They're all... Some might be a bit happy from some herbal substances.
Herbal help.
Yeah.
Herbal health and herbal help, which is fine. But they only hoot a horn when they're going to overtake you. A bit of warning.
Wow.
I've been to a lot of countries in the world, and I've never, ever seen that before.
Sounds bliss.
So
I
probably...
think this was the last UK surf show. Sounds like it's going to be the Barbados one from
Yeah,
now on.
Yeah, in fact, can you cancel this one? Then we can... No.
Also, it means I know we'll get around the island really quick because everyone's going dead slow.
Mate, they got wide elbows, mate.
Yeah, I bet.
The brothers won't let you by, you know. No, I probably oversold it. But for me, at my stage of surfing... You know, Costa Rica, the sun has set on that, and it's just popped up for that place.
That sounds
nice.
super dreamy.
So
and Robin Reliant?
With I was going to say, with something like that,
okay.
with something like driving slow, have you ever taken a trip from Pease Bay to the Highlands?
Well, it's funny.
And a Robin Reliant. That was a nice
But-
link. Sorry, I was trying to shut him down.
Funny you should mention that, but going to do a blatant plug for a book that's just not far from us called Surfing Scotland, written by... Who's it written by, the Surfing Scotland book, guys? Andy Bennett and Malcolm Finley.
Which we stock at Lost Shore in the shop.
Yeah.
No, you should buy one here. In fact, we're not going to let you out until you've bought one.
We've got one.
Oh, damn. You Anyway, it's in there, the story, but it's worth a quick... There it is.
Yeah, we stock these at Lost Shore Surf Resort.
Brilliant. Yeah, nice one.
Lost Shore Surf Resort.
Nice.
We have a
Hey.
shop.
But where are we now? If you're down in Devon,
But if you're in Devon, you have to buy this at the British Museum of
Yeah,
Surfing.
or they
Well,
won't let
yeah.
you out the
Or
door.
they won't let you out the door.
No. Anyway, it's very quickly. I had to get to Scottish Surf Champs from Aviemore. So I put my surfboard on the train off out of Aviemore.
On the roof.
Yeah, on
Or
the
strapped
roof. That's it. Yeah. No, guard wasn't too happy about it because he hadn't seen one before. Yeah, what we brought a shark in here for? Anyway, we got to Edinburgh and I was picked up by Billy Batten and Andy Bennett, and off we went to the surf contest at Pease. I love that wave. Right-hander off the rocks at high tide. Low tide, bit of a shipwreck. Some heavy steel in the water, so be careful if you're taking off there. But love that beach, love the waves. Then it was time to get home. And Pat Kieran was there, who's a legend up there in Scotland and lives in Thurso. He said, I can give you a lift. And then he said, here's my car. And it was, I think, an orange Robin Reliant. And I went... I couldn't say no. I said, yeah, this is the adventure goes on, you know, luxury train coming, Robin Reliant going out. Anyway, it was all going fine at max speed in a Robin Reliant, but then we had to get through the Dromocta Pass at Scotland, over 1,000 foot high, and there'd been big snow all that week before.
Yeah.
So there were walls of snow 4 or 5 feet high either side of the road. And we're sort of trundling through, sort of wheel to wheel on this dual carriageway at, 15 miles an hour with an articulated lorry. And his wheel was bigger than our car, or it felt like it. And suddenly I thought, this is getting very interesting now. But, you know, the story was fine. We got all the way back up to Glenfeshie where I lived, built a house, and the Robin Reliant got us through. But
do you know what you had to do? You just had to keep on keeping on.
And we
Keep
did.
on,
And that's why we're still here.
I like what you did there. I like
You
what
like
you
what I
did
did there,
there.
didn't
Yeah,
you?
very good. That
we-
sounds like it's getting near the end.
We added these 2 questions into the last edition. We done a Northeast edition, was the last edition of the show. So I'm bringing this up so Pete can try and remember the one that he forgot to
I
ask.
forgot, but I remember.
Right, and I know if he's forgot. So I'll go with the first one. Okay. So I'm 6 foot tall. For argument's sake, I am exactly 6 foot tall. Okay, I've just taken off on a wave. I've got terrible technique, and I'm just in the process of a bottom turn. The bottom of my board is at the bottom of the wave.
Are you goofy or regular?
I'm regular.
Okay.
My knees are locked out, so I'm doing my bottom turn stood fully straight, just terrible technique. My head is in line with the lip of the wave, and the bottom of the board is at the very bottom of the wave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 6 foot tall. In feet, how big is that wave?
Chest high.
Even though it's in line with my head.
Didn't believe your height. What's your name? Tom Cruise.
Well, so what would you call it in feet? Would you call it in feet?
I don't really use feet because it's bollocks.
Thank you. That's the point.
No,
that's the point.
You know when you're riding a wave, especially longboarding now, where I'm not challenging anymore. I know when it's like waist high. I go, this is a nice wave.
That's
you
what
get
I do.
Initial speed off of that, and you can do everything. And then there's other times it's summer surf, and this is knee high, but we're having fun.
Yeah.
When it's overhead, then because it's slightly threatening, and it'll let you know. So I rarely deal in feet. I don't think I've ever said it to anybody.
I think that would be something like Surfline if they just switched to knee high, waist high, head high.
And the reason we bring it up because it's such a bone of contention point. Because I agree.
But
for
those
me, it's
words
so
never used. If you're at the car park and you've just come out the sea and somebody's changed and just going in, you don't go, it's 3 foot plus. When did anybody ever say that? You'll never guess. It's 6 inches. I mean,
when you listen to the arguments as well, people are saying Hawaiians measure from the back.
From the back.
That's why I think the Hawaiian building trade is because people have been asking for a 3 foot fence to be built, and they come home and it's way over the top of their house. Like, I've got a 3-story house. How's that 3 foot? But when people say things like, yeah, but the wave's sucking, so it's deeper at the bottom than it is at the top. And I'm like, yeah, but if you ask me how tall is this cup, right? It's sitting on top of this board for people that can't see. Yeah. The cup is still the same size sitting on top of this board as if I put it back on the floor. The cup is still the same size as the cup, but it's just such a frustrating thing.
So I like the fact that you gave the answer that you wanted. Now you're still arguing the fact.
Yeah, I just want everyone to agree. We'll do body measurements.
But once we were at Hossegor, right, and we thought it was going to be perfection out there, and we're walking up over the dunes to look down, and we go, whoa, that looks really good from a long way away. And then these Aussies are coming back over the dunes and going, don't bother, mate, it's flat. Now, from Aussie point of view, it probably was. If you come from, I don't know, Margaret River or somewhere, then they wouldn't bother going in. But we went out and it was waist high, lovely offshore wave. So one man's flat is another man's, great wave.
So you've had
dodgy.
plenty of time to think about the question.
I still want to go to the other ones because, like, with 50 years plus surfing experience, we often asked before what was the worst and best waves you've ever caught. Worst wipeout, best wave. Can you remember? Is there a wave that stands out in you and it's like that was perfection that you've chased or something? That wave you've always been chasing ever since.
And while you're thinking about it, and for clarity, that's not the question. The second question, Pete's stalling for time to think of it.
Big wave, small wave. I've never been chasing big waves, so I don't really have a story to tell there. But I've got something funnier to tell from Kimmeridge.
Go for it.
About dropping in. So my names will be slightly anonymous here, but Kimmeridge is working pretty nice. Well, so let's say it's head high. So it's some serious surf, rock reef, beautiful place. And there's one guy, he's pretty notorious for dropping in. He drops in whether he's at Highcliffe, at the piers, at Kimmeridge. He can't help himself. He's like a magnet to your shoulders. So he's dropped in on this good friend of mine. I want to say his name because it sounds like a gangster. I might do this and see what I'm going to say it. I could be dead tomorrow. So let's say it. So my good friend is called Eddie the Fish, right?
He's not a real person.
Okay. He is.
Eddie the surfer.
Anyway, so Mr X has dropped in on Eddie the Fish and they both come up to the surface and Monsieur Poisson has had enough now. He gets hold of Mr X's board and he just punches both or 3 fins out. Ting, ting, ting. So he's not so much a thruster now as more of a slider, and he has to slide into the beach on that board. And then later in the car park, he tries to tell Mr. Fish that he's going to be paying for it, and Mr. Fish isn't having any of that. But I just thought it was one of the most, or the best message of don't drop in.
Fair.
And put it out there, and if we get into trouble, we get into trouble. But I love it. You just think he's a gangster. Like, don't mess with Eddie the Fish.
Eddie the Fish
down in
is
history.
coming to get you in the lineup.
And how about have you had like a standout wipeout, like a really bad one somewhere?
Yeah, I've got a picture of it actually. A really good photographer that was with us, and it was in Costa Rica. The wave's probably only about maybe as high as up there. Let's call it 6-7 foot, whatever. Okay. Anyway, I'm going backhand. I'm on a 6.6 Weber, so that's going back a bit in time. Anyway, loving it. Off the bottom, showing me fins, still got them. Up the top, off the top, and you get to that point where you think, I'll do one more drop. It's just so good. The drug is working. Yeah. So I go for another drop. That's okay. Then engage the fins, rail, and I'm going back up to the top, and I meet the lip as it's now curling, gets a hold of the board and me. And you know that old style wrestling they used to have on TV where they slam people into the floorboards or the canvas? That's what it did to me. It slammed me into the sand. But the good news is the photographer got the bottom turn, quite nice.
Perfect.
But he also got the absolute moment, and the board's vertical, and my feet, back foot is on the tail pad, and the front foot is still on the board. And I put it out there on Facebook, and a few people have said, well, Slater would have made that, but I definitely didn't. So that was probably my best ever wave, but it was a wipeout, and I got slammed.
Well, that's a relevant time for you to ask.
So yeah, this is a relevant time for the question.
Look, I've been to hospital twice. Let's not dig up any more bad stuff.
No, I was just going to say, with someone with like 50 years of experience in surfing, it's a good person to ask this question to as well.
Yeah.
So you've just had a photo or video taken of you, and it's the best photo you've ever had, or the best video you've ever had of anything you've ever done on a surfboard in your life. But by posting this photo, it's going to blow up a secret spot. What are you doing?
Wouldn't put it up there.
Oh, there you go.
Never, ever. Easy. How could I do that? No way.
See, I reckon this is a different thing, because I reckon if you ask someone that question of 20 years old, they'd go posting it.
Oh, it's happening. Oh, it's happening. I said.
That's getting bleeped out.
Australia,
home of the Christmas turkey. It's December.
Don't just stop saying the word, and I don't have to keep bleeping
it. No, I'd agree. Well, that's a bit like the drop-in. The blatant drop-ins now.
Yeah.
At every beach in Britain are ridiculous. There's the people that don't know. I usually go and try and help them, educate them, say, look, a bit like pulling out of a road in a car. Yeah. We're not in Barbados now, we're in Britain. Don't drop in, don't pull out. It's like you're pulling out in front of them. Don't do it. Look left and right. So that's education side.
Or I'll punch your fins out.
No. Eddie the Fish would do the education to the right person, but to Mr. Blatant drop-in.
Yeah.
So that's what happens there. But that's going on all the time now. And I don't know whether the surf schools could do a bit more and explain about, as you take off, even on your foamy, just have a look left and right. See if one of your fellow classmates is going to collide or another surfer's come into the equation. Check it out. And maybe, I like the wave in Bristol and artificial waves, new one in Edinburgh, nice. Maybe because you have priority there, because you're up against yourself, basically, that again, people aren't used to the left-right, and they're getting through thousands of new surfers. Somewhere there's a disconnect in education.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, actually, and it's something we've discussed a lot internally at Lost Shore, because we want to work with the surf schools, so we will direct people, once say they've come and had their first ever surf lesson at Lost Shore.
And where is that?
It's Ratho in Edinburgh. I don't know how well
That's
you know.
the wave,
That's the wave pool.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. So
I
Europe's
thought you
largest.
just dropped a secret spot.
No. So Europe's largest wave garden. We opened 2
It
weeks
used to be
ago.
a climbing thing.
Well, so next door's a climbing arena. We're in the quarry
with
next
the
door.
famous mountain man's.
Yeah, so
shop.
you've got Europe's largest climbing arena next to Europe's largest wave gardens. It's just a really cool location in general. But we will then send people who have had their first surf lesson at Lost Shore. We they'll get a follow-up email sort of thing to say, now that you've had a lesson with us, we recommend doing like a conversion lesson at an ocean beach school, just go learn the nuances exactly like you say, because there's certain things that you're not able to, you don't have to look left and right because there's no one there. But at the same time, you still learn some etiquette by sitting in that lineup in a wave garden, because you have to wait your turn.
Yeah.
If the person in front of you stacks it, you're made to wait.
Yeah.
So I think you're picking up good habits.
It's just common sense.
It's common sense by default, but definitely I think surfing's so much more accessible for so many people.
Yeah.
There's probably a bit of a route of access that's different to maybe when generations past have had to learn the hard way. And maybe that's being missed. But ultimately for me, I just want to see a lineup full of good vibes and good people.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, bring back that, because that's what surfing's all about.
Yeah.
Fun, freedom, and no hassle.
Yeah.
Where do you think, out of all the places you've surfed across the UK, the best vibe is surfing?
Where good people are in the water, and I know that is a complete cop-out on answer, because on any one day you could have a crap crowd in at that break, and you go there the next day and it's mellow. We get that at Saunton. Sometimes it's a really mellow crew. Everybody's taking a slot, welcoming somebody new into the lineup. Come on, girls, get in amongst it. Don't hold back. Get there. It can be like that. And then the next time, it's like rail banging takeoff. And you think, whoa.
I've had one myself in Saunton before. I think I spoke about it on here before. But there was a guy in the lineup, and he had a massive longboard. It must have been 10 foot plus, like this longboard. It was huge.
Head high.
It
was. But I'm not going to mention anybody, because I know a couple of people like that.
But it was paddling out past everybody.
Yeah.
And coming in
and
each time, claiming everything each time. You probably know who it is, but it's like
there's two. But if he was getting a lot of weight, I know exactly who he is, and he upsets me as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's things like that which
it's
just
monopoly.
Need for
They're
it.
just trying to monopolise something.
Yeah.
No, I get that, and that is super annoying. And
we're going to get Eddie the fish down here to punch his fins out.
Finn.
You're getting me into so much trouble. I won't be able to go back to Bournemouth or Kimmeridge. I'll be on wanted posters.
Just so you have to beep that out.
Yeah.
Well, just again, I mean, before we close this down, absolute pleasure to have you on and chat with you. And for anyone that does want to check out your YouTube and Facebook and stuff, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, I never know what to say with this, because I never quite know what it's called. But if you spell my name correctly, so it's Eric, E-R-I-C, and now pay attention, it's D-A-V-I-E-S, because if you put D-A-V-I-S, you're going to get Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, Road to Morocco, whereas my Road to Morocco is D-A-V-I-E-S. So look up that, and if you want to see the Fight with Cancer film, which is Keep On Keeping On, that's on that lot as well. Just put my name in and put one of those movie titles up. The Morocco one's interesting in this land of... What's the thing that fires your music from your phone to the speaker cord? Bluetooth.
Bluetooth.
In the world of Bluetooth, and does that go round you or through you? My film from 1975 to Morocco was filmed on a clockwork camera, and I like that 75 clockwork, now Bluetooth. And anyway, check out that, and check out the music, because that's by my good friend Jack Besant, who I think you guys are...
friend of the show,
We're going to, hopefully Thursday, for a surf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody that.
Sean.
No, I've rambled. Sorry, guys.
No,
No,
it's good.
It's been
good.
an absolute
And
pleasure,
you're on the Instagram as well, aren't you?
Yeah, don't ask me what it is. Just put it in there, Eric Davies, and
See what you get.
yeah, see if you
See what we
get,
get.
see if you get
We'll
Bob
link
Oak.
it. We'll link it to this episode on the
Yeah.
Instagram.
The good news is, if you do that, there is a link to Morocco, and if you are really bored, you can see when I drove to India in 1973 through Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan.
And a Robin Reliant. Or
No, sadly, Top
all
Gear,
the way from Peas.
sadly, Top Gear wouldn't pay us for that, so we went in a boring old Land Rover. But it was still interesting in Afghanistan and those countries.
I've been twice.
Have you? Oh yeah.
I wasn't quite there on a surfing trip though.
No.
So it
Well,
wasn't-
we were going to climb a mountain, mate, 6,000 meters
Yeah.
further down the road. I think you go to the Khyber Pass, turn left, and it's up there.
Turn left and it's up.
I can't imagine it's changed a lot since then. To be
No,
honest.
well, it probably has a bit. And guess what that one's called? Road to India.
I see a theme here.
Yeah, and I'm really going to quit now. If you want to have a really good laugh, we'll wind back to Aviemore. I am the world Je Sans Frontières Christmas pudding champion. It's only a 2-minute video, but it's worth a laugh.
I kind of wish we'd checked that out before.
I know, yeah.
Well, it's a funny one because we had to do these games.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't called Je Sans Frontières. It was, I don't know, something challenge. It was funny. Anyway, BBC filmed it, and check out the Christmas pudding champion.
I've loved this. You're like the original influencer.
Yeah,
You're doing unboxing videos.
yeah.
It is a mafia. We got Eddie
Oh.
the Fish, the original influencer.
I got one more. I nearly turned up here as Elf because I'm really Will Ferrell. I'm not Eric Davies.
I mean,
I was going to say, you've just said it to the wrong person because he's just going to start quoting now.
I'm not going to do it.
Well,
What
no,
I'm going to do
No,
is
I've seriously. I got 4 grandkids, and I've got guest appearances in Braunton. Elf's coming in. Look out!
That's amazing. That's amazing. I was going to do one last shout out to the British Museum of Surfing.
Yeah.
Massive thank you for having us. And if you are in Devon or North Devon, come and check it out because actually there's so much history in here. And you were saying before about where you're trying to take it to with female surfers
Yeah,
down on this side. So it's a really cool place and it was nice to finally see it. I've only seen it online.
yeah. No, it's great to see you here because a lot of people learn to surf, but they've got no heritage or culture to stick it to, and that helps. I think
I think
pulls
a
it all
lot
together.
of UK surfers as well. I think they think there isn't much of a UK heritage. They just think we nicked it from the Hawaiians and that was it. I think, or the Australians or wherever they think it comes from. But I don't think a lot of people actually realise how much culture there has been in surfing in the UK for so
on the
many
contest
years.
scene, we've had some outstanding surfers from Tigger Newling back in the 80s and 90s, who, for me, was the most stylish British surfer I've ever seen. Russell Winter beat Kelly Slater in QS's. He was exceptional.
Yeah.
Alan Stokes. All these people were part of the British scene. So good to find out about.
Now we're stuck with the Scottish surfer.
No, but it's good. You've got a wave pool. You've got more than 10 people in your association. You're having contests.
That's true.
And you've got some of the best waves in the world.
In
So-
fact, our first competition's happening this weekend.
Yeah,
Gathering
I've been
of the
following
clans.
it, yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see that. But
watch out for a late entry.
Well, it sounds like you'd own that
No,
lineup.
one final thing. A part of the Scottish surf contest, they said, we're really short. Can you come to the Europeans with us in Biarritz? So I said, sorry, did you just say that? I said, yeah, okay. But they said, can you not say many words or pretend you're Scottish?
So you just get all the stereotypes out. You're on the Buckfast and
No,
really
exactly.
aggressive.
No, it got worse. It got way worse than that. The French guys took exception to me, and they called me Bête Écosse because my wave count was high in the water, not dropping in, just high wave count.
Yeah.
And they called me the Scottish Beast. So my job was done.
That's it.
They thought I was Scottish.
That's the title of
Eric
this
Davies,
episode.
the Scottish Beast.
And on that bombshell, we'll say goodbye.
Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Will Ferrell, Elf, absolute spitting image. Eric Davies,
Yeah.
what a top guest. Pete, how did that go?
Yeah. I mean, it was bloody brilliant. The elf thing, the funniest thing about that is he said it, and I was like, yeah, because kind of see it. And then he just appeared at the back of the van holding a like Christmas bag with his face on it and next to it. And I was like, fuck, you're the same person.
He really owned it. Absolutely spitting image of Will Ferrell, which is hilarious. But let's get into this. I mean, Eric Davies, what a top bloke. I mean, he could not have been more forthcoming with us in being helpful, wanting to support the show, wanting us to promote his sponsors. I love the fact, and I think I said this when we done the summary edition, that, you know, I've referred to him as the original influencer. You know, he's 73 years young, and he was there going, make sure my Patagonia's in. And shot. And I'm just like, that's so cool.
And his video there, Keep On Keeping On, which is on YouTube. You can go and see that. And it just says about, you know, 73 years of, well, what's he said he surfed now? 50, 60 years, whatever it is. He surfed
a lot.
He's surfed longer than he hasn't surfed anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. And do you know, it's cool. You know, well, it's not cool, but it's just, I like these sort of stories when you hear real people talking about it. You know, it's not a case of, you know, I've had some adversity, so I've gone and climbed Everest, you know, and I've only got, you know, one thumb and no limbs sort of thing. You hear this. So I always wonder what people, this is a bit of a tangent, but people that go through some mental scenario, you know, and they lose a limb and something like that, you know, especially being ex-army, you know, a lot of these people, or other sort of high-level trauma that then makes people go on to go do insane things that they would never have done before, and they go climb Everest or they go do something mental, and you're like, does that suggest that you were a lazy bastard for pre-injury? Like, why couldn't, imagine as people we were that inspired all the time. But anyway, huge tangent. Obviously, you know, Eric had prostate cancer, and he was told he wouldn't surf, but he was losing his pop-up, and he was like, fucking no chance. And he's gone and trained every day in the way that he knows, and he's managed to overcome it just with absolute determination. So it kind of just, it makes me think, you know, when I hear people talk about, well, surfing's not for me, I'm too old, or I hear all these excuses, and I guess maybe excuses are the wrong thing to say, but reasons people have in their head. And I think it's this sort of perceived barrier. We speak about that a lot on the show. These perceived barriers as to why people can't surf. And I'm like, but you've got no excuse. Like, just go out and do it. He's able to do it.
I have. I'm shit.
Hey, well, but that's not a perceived barrier, though, that we can both agree to that for both of us. We're just not very good, but we still got on with it.
I tell you what, that was, you know, that I was going to tell you what about your surfing again, but because I saw a video of you, and we'll come to that in a minute. But like, as you said, you know, Eric has, you know, he was so kind and so like invited us to his house. We went for food with him. What those shots he gave us, not like alcohol shots, like ginger. Like,
the ginger snaps. Yeah.
Really
good
were
for the
banging
gut
as well. And it really went through me well. That did.
That didn't go down well for you.
And then, you know, it was part of like Eric that got us with Jack as well. That's coming up in the future, and we went for a surf with Eric and Jack, and just those little things of the day that he was saying, like little tips and tricks around Saunton of like, oh, you look at this and you do that. And I should say, like, you and me went down in the morning to Saunton, and we were like, we're not going to be fucking surfing here. This is shit. And he was like, trust me, 12 o'clock, it'll be coming at 12 o'clock. And I was like, yeah, all right then. Got down there, and it was literally to his timing of an hour window that we could surf, and then that was it.
We didn't go down there in the morning and say we wouldn't surf. We went down there on the way to meet Jack and Eric at the cafe for some food. So it was within an hour. We drove past it and went, this isn't even going to happen. And I think I'd said, I'll just take photos or something. And we went and had obviously breakfast with them and went straight for a surf. And it was on, like you say, to the minute it was on. And actually, just because we've just had Christmas, obviously, this is what Special K got me as one of our Christmas gifts. I think this is amazing. Super thoughtful.
Yeah, before you show it, why didn't Special K get me one as well?
Well, here we go. What a gift that is. For those of you that can't see, tough. Go on YouTube and watch the episode and leave a like and a comment. Comment what it was that I was given as a gift. Super stoked with that. I didn't. Do you know the thing is, normally I think with Christmas presents as well, you generally have an inkling when you know, or something's it's not a surprise. You kind of think, that kind of makes sense. I did not see that one coming, so that was, for me, I was buzzing with that. Really happy.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I don't know why she didn't get me one though as well, because I'm there.
Well, you're getting removed from it and probably replacing it with another me. What were you going to say about my surfing anyway?
No, I've seen videos of it. You're shit. You should give up.
I know.
That's what I was going to say after that.
Years.
After that comment, it's like your comments to me that I'm, just waiting to fuck things up with stuff. But that's brilliant.
I think if we're clear, that whole line of that kind of narrative definitely originates with you.
Yeah, it does. Well, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no. I saw. In all fairness, I seen a video. I saw, saw whatever it is. I saw a video of your surfing at the Lost Shore, and who the fuck are you and what have you done with Mitch? And that's as much of a compliment as you're getting off me. Because in all fairness, I was like, holy shit. He's like proper surfing now. So it's going to be that point soon when you're going to go to the next trip we go on. You're going to be, well, I'm an average surfer. And they're going to look at you and go, no, you're fucking not. You're going to do that thing that people say to you that you hate when they say I'm an average surfer, and you're going, I've just watched you do a fucking air reverse and you're not an average surfer, and that's going to be you soon.
I only hate it because I can't do the air reverse. It's like snoring. It's like snoring. Snoring doesn't bother me when I'm doing it. It's the same thing.
No, the thing is, like, in all fairness, the amount that I've seen your improvements from surfing at Lost Shore so much is like, I'm not going to call you inspiring because you're a twat. It's
wow.
It's like, it just shows you what you like because majority of people out there have got a lot more skill than you. So if they were doing that, they'd be amazing by now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But that's the thing though. Like I've always been. I think that's why I was able to grow a profile and surfing on Instagram, was because I was really open and honest about my ability. But actually, I was never shy about being rubbish and average. Like, I think for years I referred to myself as a professional amateur. Because I just couldn't progress to anything. Like, nothing. Yeah. And maybe that was lack of waves. But, I am somebody that will chase every swell, surf every possible chance I can get. And whilst, it doesn't make me love it any less, it is frustrating when you're not progressing. And this thing's been open a month and a bit, maybe 6 weeks. And like, I can see it. Even maybe we should do a dedicated episode on this very subject. Maybe we can get like the Surf Lab guys in or something to talk about it more in depth than we can. But just that repetition. Like, it's funny because I surfed Lost Shore this week. I'm on leave at the minute, but I surfed Lost Shore the day before yesterday. And actually, I'm now using my other equipment. I'm using my other boards just because I don't normally use them. My Firewire's my go-to. And I took out my little J board, the little 5.7, the tartan thing, and I took out my Rocket Wide this week, which I never use. Because both times I've taken it out,
it's constantly damaged.
Somebody's dropped in and smashed it. So I took that out. And it's mad because it's quite nice to then be able to feel how different the boards are, on that same wave. I say same conditions, but when I was in the other day, it was howling. Like, it was super windy. I think we might have even cancelled lessons in the bay because it was so windy. So you still get that wind effect, even though, like, today we've got like 50, 60 mile an hour winds here, and it was fine, absolutely fine. The prevailing wind is sheltered from the quarry wall. But it's to feel the difference in the boards is really cool. But I'm kind of getting frustrated now at things. 3 weeks ago, I would have been like, if you'd said to me, you're going to be trying to do that, I'd have been like, fucking no chance. And I'm kind of doing, the two things I'm getting hung up on are, I'm now doing nice big cutbacks, which I've never really done before, but I'm kind of I'm cutting back past the 6 o'clock position, and then I should be at the bottom of the wave, but I'm not. I'm weirdly at the top of the wave. So then I'm like, shit, it's time to then bring the board back round, go down the line, face the right way. But then I come out with a sheer bottom turn because I'm at the top of the lip. I turn back and I've got this absolute face to go down. I come out with mad speed, but I want to come all the way back. I think I need to project in front of the wave when I'm doing my cutback because somehow I'm just getting back up to the top. I want to get into the pocket and the shoulder and then do the cut back there. So, but having that ability to hold a turn and just practice over and over, but it's getting frustrating because I'm going bigger, and I'm talking about this as if I'm doing airs and shit. I'm not. Like, I'm just doing stuff that everyone else can do, but it's just because I've never done it. Like, for me, it's like, oh wow. And now I'm just, it's cool, but it's frustrating at the same time because it feels a bit same old until I can progress further.
I think it's good to have that thing of like, because I went surfing at Westwood Ho in, when was it, in the week? It was like the day after Boxing Day, I think it was. And, you know, the difference between like longboarding and like shortboarding, what you're saying about all those turns and everything. And, you know, with longboarding, I just like going right.
Yeah.
That's the end of my discussion. It's literally the difference in it. But it's like, yeah, so we'll talk about that more on the next episode, my surfing. Mm-hmm. I went down and met a friend of a lovely friend, and we went surfing, and yeah, it was really good fun, and had a good day. They took out I let them use the what's it called, the Tiki Evo Fish, the 7.2, because they're looking at getting some new boards at the moment and trying different things. And I was like, try this, and she said it was absolutely amazing. This board was,
awesome.
And really liked it. So yeah, that's another good feedback on that. Like I said, it feels like, because it's got big high literage as well, so it's quite buoyant. So it feels like more like, well, she said it feels more like a mini Mao, like size-wise, but turns more like a shortboard because of your standing position. Mm-hmm. It's good to get different perspectives on these things as well. I think a standing position, your foot's further forward, so it feels like a real shortboard where your front foot is, but it moves. It feels buoyant like a mini Mao, but it turns like, you know, a surf skate, I say.
Yeah, right, okay. No, it's definitely good to put other people on them and see what they think. And the reason we're not going to go into depth on...
Hey, Tiki, why am I doing your job for you?
The reason we're not going into depth on this episode about Pete's surf is because we're not used to chatting about Pete going surfing, so we're going to have to figure out how we drop it in.
So talking to Tiki, we have a 10% discount for Tiki. They're sponsors of the show now. They sponsored all the Devon editions that are coming out for you, and that is UK Surf Pod, all uppercased, and that will get you 10% off anything at Tiki, apart from surfboards, because the markup on the margins on surfboards are not great, I don't think.
No, and look forward to some more reviews when we get our hands on some more boards. Pete's still got one.
Also,
what?
We should also say that we have a Tiki competition.
We do.
And you're going to have to go to our Instagram for this and follow our Instagram, because the first part, so there's 3 parts to it. There'll be a smaller prize, a medium prize, and then a big prize. I can tell you what the big prize is. It's a surfboard. But the medium prize and the little prize will be confirmed on our Instagram. So go ahead, make sure you're following us, the UK Surf Show, on Instagram, and it will be posted there with details of how to win prize number 3. Or prize number 1 of 3, but 3 of 3, because it's getting small to big.
Stop making it complicated, Peter.
Yeah, prize 1 of 3, of 2, of 1 of 7, of 3, of go.
Divided by the Batman symbol. And if you want to get 10% off anything at Surface, use the discount code UK Surf Show 24.
Yeah. And then Cookville Clothing as well, UK Surf Show 10, and that will get you 10% off at Cookville Clothing.
And that's it.
And then if you want 10% off from Mitch for anything, you know, if you want him to fix your tyre or change your light bulbs.
Definitely 10%. Well,
I feel like we're going to have to do something, because we're just getting more and more discount codes. We're going to have to do something where we can just go, look, they're all there at the end of the show every week. So,
you could use Scottish Surfer as a code at Wolfbox, which is them 4K dash cams. That will get you that might be 10%. I love that thing. I've got it in my old van, which I've still not sold, but I think I've advertised it with the dash cam in, so I've got front and rear. Yeah. I think I'm going to take it out because I want it in the new van. It's so good. I don't want to buy one though.
So if you want 10% off a Scottish Surfer van, and so there you go. Quote UK Surf Show.
So enjoy. Go YouTube as well and check out Keep On Keeping On with Eric Davies. It's 5-6 minutes. It's a great insightful piece to who we've just spoken to as a guest.
Yeah, and thanks, Eric. It's an absolute pleasure. And you know, it's one of those people that when you meet him and surfed with him, and he's still sends messages to us. I feel like I made a friend there as well. Yeah, just trying to work out how to replace you with him. So once I've done that, see you later.
If only he had a hot tub.
Yes, there you go. Right, nice one.
See ya. Merry Crimbats.